So there's quite a bit that you had to say in this report, and who knows why the stock does what it does, but there's some sense I picked up among analysts that your guidance for the current quarter was conservative. And you project that things are going to begin to return to normal life in mid-May. That would be in just a week or two. And that would actually return you to engagement and spending trends from before the crisis hit, which for you would be a negative. I think it's safe to say, at least in the New York area, maybe in the Bay Area where you guys are headquartered, things are not going to be back to normal in a week or two. So how quickly are you modeling that things will normalize?
Well, I think we're in uncertain times. Unprecedented dynamics are at play in the market. If you look back in March, in terms of how the quarter wrapped up, you started to see the shelter-in-place orders really go into the EU and North America, and people really turned to games like they never had before. Games have really proven to be a place where in quarantine you can kind of find a refuge from the stress, but more importantly, it's a great way for people to socially connect, to break down the social distancing. So in April, there was a tremendous climb across the entire gaming business in terms of audience, engagement. If you look at companies like Twitch or Steam and Xbox Live, they reported record numbers. Verizon said that they saw that their traffic had jumped 75% as it related to gaming products. And even with Zynga ourselves, we're seeing a tremendous response to our products throughout the month of April. Our conservative guidance, as you put it, is really based on the idea that as shelter-in-place orders are lifted in different parts of the world, it's unknown as to whether or not things are going to return to normal rates of consumption and engagement, or if there's going to be an elevated sense of demand. And so what we were trying to do in communicating with our shareholders, given that there's so much uncertainty in the marketplace, that we had a basis for where our guidance was coming in. But in fact, if you look at our guidance, it's actually quite strong. We guided to 460 million in bookings in Q2, which was above what was consensus at the time.
Yeah, Frank, you mentioned Xbox Live, and that makes me wonder about the mix in your business between user pay and advertising. We are seeing increased usage in platforms that are user pay. I think that was reflected partly in PayPal's results that we just saw. Are you seeing equal or maybe unusual strength in user pay? And do you think it's possible or even likely that that strength could continue even when engagement trends normalize?
I do see very strong gains in user pay at Zynga and also, as you pointed out, across the industry. It is accounting for the vast majority of the growth inside the industry. Advertising as part of the overall revenue base in gaming is growing and is strong over the long term. Right now, it is suffering from the same types of factors that you've seen with that Facebook and Twitter and Google have talked about in terms of declining CPMs. One of the positives, though, for the gaming business as it relates to advertising is games have incredible usage right now. So for brands or companies that want to reach customers, advertising through games is a very good place to go. So what you've seen in games is while advertising has dipped a bit, it certainly hasn't dropped as much as some of the more pure play advertising networks and in terms of the focused audience that we have right now. So as things start to lift in terms of shelter in place, if engagement levels remain high, user pay will continue to carry the day.
Yeah, Frank, it's great to speak with you today. We had Phil Spencer from Microsoft's Xbox on the show last week. One of the things he voiced concern about was the potential for game production to be impacted by this pandemic. Is that your concern as well? How are you planning for that?
Well, I'm happy to report that all Zynga employees are working from home very effectively right now. If you look across the industry, there's really a phenomenon with mobile gaming that allows you to build and continue to service your games from a work-from-home deployment very efficiently. We saw very little productivity loss when we moved to a work-from-home environment. And I think it's because our games are very well understood in terms of the technology, the processes, the technology itself. The file sizes are smaller in mobile. The engines are well known. We don't require or are counting on new hardware to be released. So from our perspective right now, mobile games are very easy to maintain in a work-from-home environment. It doesn't suffer from some of the same issues that you see with linear entertainment, where they've had to close down production. High-end console games have some of those same issues where they have voice acting, motion capture, 4 and 8K file sizes for art. In mobile games, they're much smaller, they're much more nimble. And so from our perspective, we can stay in a work from home deployment for as long as is necessary and continue to deliver our new games and all the new content updates we have planned for our live services. So we're fortunate in that respect.
Hey, Frank, anyone who rides mass transit in the Northeast, rides a subway in New York City, sees people playing your games all the time. I wonder how much you worry about a true L-shaped recovery in mass transit and what that might do to user growth over time.
Well, I think when you look at mobile gaming in general, it's probably the category of entertainment that's going to be the most resilient to the types of changes that you see inside, whether it's society or potentially with a downturn in the economy. The business model is free to play, so it's very accessible. You can get in, you can play for as long as you want without having to pay. It's on your phone, which you have. It's ubiquitous. You're always going to have your phone with you, whether you're out trying to get on a subway or walking in the park or at home laying in bed. So the games are always going to be available to you, so they're very accessible. And frankly, the sessions are very short. You can jump in, play for a little bit, and move on to something else. So mobile games, more than any other form of entertainment, really can fit with any type of lifestyle or any type of work environment. So whether you're spending the time on the subway or you're spending the time doing something else, your mobile games will be available to you. And so we like the fact that whether the shape of the recovery is L, V, or a U, I think mobile video gaming will be able to manage itself in that environment.